Hey guys, welcome back to my drawing video. So in this video, I want to share how I approach edges when I draw. For me, edges are everything. They're the foundation. Before I think about details, before I think about texture, even before shading, it's always edges first. That's what I want to show you here. I'm not going to talk about tools too much because I'm using just a few tools today. You can see I'm using a blending stump, charcoal powder, and later my charcoal pencil. But the main point is the concept. How I simplify edges, how I commit to them, and how I let them carry the drawing. This is more for artists who already know their way around charcoal or pencil. So let's just jump straight into drawing. The way I start is always the same. I go for the edges. If you look at the very beginning of this drawing, I start with the head, then I move down to the clothing, the hand, and then the water basket. I just work from the top to the bottom without overthinking it. And here's something that feels awkward if you're not used to it. I really simplify everything. Curvy, complex edges. I reduce them into straighter, simpler strokes. It's almost like I'm averaging them. At first, this might feel incomplete to you. If you're new to this, you'll think, this doesn't look right, it's too blocky, not enough details. But over time, you'll get used to it. The more you practice, the more natural it feels. The important part is to commit. Strike the edge confidently. Don't hesitate. What I find interesting is, even if I only show people the final drawing without them seeing the process, they can tell if an edge was drawn confidently or timidly. The quality of that stroke shows through. The way I think about simplification is by imagining my subject as a silhouette. I picture the whole figure as a flat, solid shape, like a cut-out shadow. And then, instead of worrying about what's inside, I focus only on the outer contour of that silhouette, just the outside edge. So, when I'm drawing, I'm not asking myself, what does this sleeve look like? What do these folds do? I'm asking, what's the overall shape of this silhouette? If that outer edge feels right, then the subject already feels correct, even if the inside is completely empty. This is why simplification feels so powerful. You're basically building the drawing from its strongest element, its outline. Once the silhouette is correct, you don't even need detail inside. Your eye and brain already recognize the subject. Now, simplifying curves into straights is a big part of this. Instead of chasing every little wobble of a line, I average it out. Curves become cleaner, straighter strokes. At first, it feels awkward. It feels like you're leaving things out, but that's the point. The more you practice, the less you worry about that incomplete feeling. You start to trust that the silhouette alone carries the drawing. Edges matter because they give the subject its presence immediately. As soon as the silhouette is there, the drawing already feels alive, even if there's nothing inside yet. No detail, no texture, the subject still reads as real. In this drawing, I don't worry about measurement here or accuracy in the technical sense. I rely on intuition. If an edge feels a little off, I don't panic. I'll just go over it, add another layer, try to make it better. That's the natural rhythm of the process. So instead of chasing perfection at the start, I'm chasing that feeling, that moment where the subject already looks right, just from its outer shape. Another big thing I focus on is simplicity. When I'm working on folds, bows, or clothing, I don't think, this is fabric, this is cotton, this is silk. No, I just see them as abstract shapes, and then I simplify them as much as I can. Simplicity is powerful because it makes the drawing easier to digest, and it also invites the viewer's imagination. When you keep things suggestive, the brain fills in the missing parts. And honestly, that makes the drawing more engaging. So for me, simplification isn't just a shortcut, it's a way of creating strength in the drawing. The way I think of these edges, there are hard edges, soft edges, and lost edges. Each has its place. Hard edges are the easiest to judge When you're starting a drawing, focus on those first, the places where the subject really separates from the background. If the hard edges feel right, the whole figure feels grounded. Soft edges are trickier, they're hard to judge, and they take practice. I try not to overthink them at the beginning, they usually come later as I build up layers. Lost edges are one of my favorites. They happen when two adjacent values are similar. The edge just disappears. Instead of trying to separate them, I merge them into one. That keeps the drawing light, makes it easier to do, and adds interest. Now, in this piece, I mostly drew with a blending stump. That's because it feels like painting more than drawing. My first layer is soft, airy, very suggestive. Then I come back in with darker accents, just a few confident strokes to strengthen the structure and make the subject readable. This way, I'm not blending with my finger or a tissue. Everything comes from the stump itself. That keeps the drawing clean, controlled, and it lets me layer edges in a more painterly way. The focal point here is obvious, the girls, and personally, I really love Hanfu clothing, so I paid more attention to the way the folds and the bows read. That's where I wanted the edges to really shine. Something I want to emphasize here is that copying exactly from a photograph is basically impossible with this method. Because I'm using a blending stump, the lines and edges are naturally imprecise. It's not like a sharp pencil where you can copy every contour, and that's okay. In fact, it's better to embrace that imperfection instead of fighting it. I think embrace is the right word here. The blending stump won't let you be exact, so you accept it. You lean into it. That's part of the beauty of the medium. For the pose and the style of the clothing, yes, I copy them as best as I can, but naturally things shift, edges move, proportions bend, that's fine. The imaginative part comes in the story. These two girls walking together, carrying water baskets, their faces hidden. I imagine they're talking to each other, maybe happy, maybe playful. That's the spirit I wanted the drawing to carry. And that brings me to the story. For me, a drawing has to speak to me personally. If I don't feel something about the subject, I won't be motivated to sit down and draw it. This scene spoke to me because of the way the girls walk together. The water baskets in their hands, the bows on their backs, the casual stride. It makes me curious. What are they saying? What are they thinking? Where are they going? Are they friends? Siblings? This drawing really makes me curious about their story. And that's why I drew it, not just because of how it looks, but because of the feeling it gives me. And here's the interesting part, even with just these simple edges before the details are in, that story already comes across. Edges aren't just technical boundaries, they carry expression, they carry narrative. They can suggest so much more than we realize, more than if I drew this in photorealism. Now, of course, if I decided to draw this with more details, if I pushed it toward full realism, that would look impressive too. A photorealistic version would probably get a lot of attention. All the textures, all the tiny details, everything rendered perfectly. But for me, something important would be lost. The simplicity, the story, the suggestive quality of the drawing, the very soul of it. If I tried to make this hyper-real, the drawing might become more about technical skill than about the feeling of two children walking together, carrying water baskets, talking along the way, and that's not what I want. So I deliberately avoid chasing photorealism here, not because it's bad, but because I value simplicity more. I want the drawing to breathe. I want space for the viewer's imagination. And I want the edges to carry the story without being buried under too much detail. That's what makes the drawing feel personal to me. So that's how I think when drawing these two little girls, and that's how I do these edges. Start with them, just the outer edges to create the silhouette. Simplify them, commit to them, embrace imperfection. Then the inside part of the silhouette, I play with hard, soft, and lost edges, and let them tell the story for you. When the edges feel right, the whole subject feels right. Everything else, shading, texture, detail, is just extra. And if you want to follow along with me in real time, you can check out my Patreon. I'll be sharing the full uncut version of this drawing there. The total time for this piece is about 3 hours, which is a bit on the longer side since I'm drawing 2 subjects here. So if you decide to draw along with me, take your time, enjoy the process, and don't rush it. Thanks as always for your support. It really means a lot, and it helps me keep creating more of these drawing sessions for you.